Staring at the mountain, Chapter 1. Use someone. Left or right? Which trailhead do I want to hike up? Which mountain was worth the climb? Now the strategy to get up the mountain I always wanted to be on, again. I only ever hiked the trailhead once. The mountain about killed me. It left me feeling haunted and used. It was a hard hike, but it was worth it. It was fun and adventurous, and even though the hike made me feel all the emotions, but I was feeling something. The mountains I have been climbing since I last climbed the mountain, those trails were easy and well traveled. The trails were simply boring and unfulfilled. I wanted to feel again. Even if the hike will be longer and harder, the hike will be worth the climb. The hike will be worth the wait. The mountains are big, the hikes are longer. The best mountains are big, the hikes are longer, the hikes are exhausting, and when you summit, you will be glad you decided to take the harder hike. My old friend was the mountain that I always wanted to hike back up again. I found myself needing to decide. I found myself in a crossroad of decisions. I had to leave the mountain I was on. It was not safe. I was not able to survive. And if I stayed on that mountain, it was a decision that was going to lead to certain death. I came up with a plan. Let's travel back to December 2020. I was having increasing panic attacks that were making me full body seizure. I felt like I was going to die if I had another. I had them daily, multiple body seizing and panic attacks. The cause only seen in my mind, replaying my traumas. The war was only felt within me. I was the only soldier that could resolve it. There was no way I was going to be able to wish myself out of the war in my mind. The only option was to stand up and fight. In order to win the war, I had to get up. I had to wash my face. I had to lace up my boots. I had to dig. I was met with the painful truth that I was unhappy in my marriage. I was unhappy at my job. I was unhappy with my life. I was unhappy that I chose convenience. I was unhappy that I chose to stay. I was unhappy that I picked the wrong trailhead. I was unhappy that I never turned around. In each crossroad on the wrong mountain, I got signs from the universe to turn around. I was scared. I was arrogant. I was stubborn. I was unsure. Then another sign, and then another. And then the universe was literally screaming at me to run. Then the universe was literally begging me to go back. Then the universe was literally giving me the weapons that I need to fight in the war in my mind. And after I tumbled down the wrong mountain, I found myself naked and bruised. I found myself torn and ragged, but I found myself. I found myself renewed. I found myself at a fresh start. I found myself. I found myself at the start of a new game. I found myself at my end game. I found myself at the beginning. I found myself at my second chance. And when I was on the trailhead of which mountain to climb, I made the right decision. In December 2020, I reached out to my old friend's sister, using the usual strategy of getting him to go on a date with me. I mean, my my friend, quotation, my friend. When he was messaging me in December 2020, he was very strategic about what he sent. I knew he was playing a game. He is a bored, lonely old man, and he knows that I was too. Just a girl, however, just as bored, just as lonely, and I really miss playing games with my old friend. He made me feel a lot of grown up feelings. It was a reminder that I was able to feel. Just one problem: I was married. The inconvenient truth: my marriage. I had fallen in love with a boy I didn't even know, Except one thing I did know. I knew him well. I just couldn't remember him. He was a complete mystery to me, and I needed to investigate before I admitted to anyone. Admit what? That he was pounding at my kitty pounder. I feel like that it's a funny joke, but let's just click that on now. Admitted to anyone. After several heated arguments with my ex husband after New Year's Eve, I was processing my feelings that came rushing in my head in December 2020. There was a lot. I had suppressed and buried all my trauma, that when I unlocked his channel, they all came rushing in. Then I opened the floodgate, and in order to get to a peaceful life with the boy that feels like home, I had to make hard decisions, life-changing decisions. I booked a flight to finally move, and I felt like I laced up my some hiking boots. It was time. Let the spy games begin. There's a lot of questions I had, but mostly a lot of feelings. And all those kinds of feelings, I have spent my entire life running from feelings that I became numb to it all. And in December 2020, my old friend started to trigger some emotions I had been hiding away for a rainy day. The rainy day was here. I spent my entire life hiding in closets from screaming, putting my earbuds in to drown out the noise of the world around me, letting a melody distract me from the painful truth that a lot has changed from the little girl that used music to heal. Not a lot has changed from that little girl that used music to heal. Now I am 31 and I decided to use the same strategy. If my chest was pounding, I thought that this emotional tidal wave was the one that was going to kill me. I was not a little girl anymore. I had pain that I was causing to myself. I knew that what my marriage was, it was nothing that I wanted to show my son. I did not want him to look at his dad the way I looked at mine. I did not want him to feel pain. And even though I was grown up, And even though I was grown up, all that hurt and unanswered questions from my childhood, they have with me. No matter what, it's hard to forgive and forget. My son is a lot like me. He will grow up. He will be a man one day. He will think whatever he wants about you. You will not be able to tell him what to think. He will have his own perspective. He will have his own perception. And at the end of the day, I did not want that for my ex-husband. At the end of the day, he is a lost boy. He is a person that I made a baby with. And although I am not in love with him anymore, I'm not sure I ever really was. After everything that ship has set on fire and sent out to sea, I wish him the best, but I do not want him to drink away my memory. I do not want him to see me when he closes his eyes. I want him to be happy. Him and I being happy together was not possible. We have been trying to get this plane off the tracks for years now. We cannot. It's been getting de-iced for years. It's time to call it done. My old friend sets me on fire. It was time to finally climb the mountain I wanted to be on. Then my focus shifted. I became a moth to a flame.